Welcome to a brand new Front 7 podcast. I am your host, Money Mike. Hope y'all enjoyed your all Sunday. I was hoping to get this video up a little bit earlier, as I had some computer issues and had to re-record the entire show. So as I said on Twitter, and if you are not following me, I will leave a link in the description below to my Twitter. So hopefully you'll stop filling out your March Madness brackets, because quite frankly the NFL has their own little March Madness coming up on Wednesday called Free Agency. And quite frankly, do you want to call it Free February Agency? The end of February here, early March here, as we've seen the last couple weeks, these teams have been agreeing, so to speak, because nothing becomes official until Wednesday, March 14th, when the league year officially begins. So we've had all these trades and stuff. Alex Smith going from Kansas City to Washington, and now the Cleveland Browns, well, they just went all crazy. You would have thought free agency was Saturday. That's the other thing too. I had another video planned predicting the quarterbacks and where all the top quarterbacks will land in free agency, and of course that got scrapped once the Browns made the trade for Tyrod. So a lot of things here. There's a lot of videos that I've made that I've been wanting to post, but things have been happening, preventing that from happening. So I'm going to go back and redo my quarterback predictions. But today I want to talk about the Cleveland Browns and what they have done. On Friday, if you were living under a rock, the Cleveland Browns went trade happy. It's like the equivalent of someone making a bunch of trades in Madden or in fantasy football, right? It's like one after the other. Everything just kept coming one after the other from Cleveland. And it's perfectly clear from these trades that John Dorsey wants to change the culture in Cleveland. One of the biggest problems that Cleveland has had is that no matter the carousel, I don't care how many coaches, general managers have got on the carousel and have been kicked off the carousel, none of them have been able to provide a change in culture, which has been desperately needed in Cleveland to wash away the stench of losing. And they were 0-16 last year, 1-31 in the past 2 years, with the only win they've had is Christmas Eve against the Chargers in 2016. So they are officially winless for over 300 some days. Something had to change in Cleveland. Hugh Jackson is still there, so I'm not too sure how much is going to change. But I feel like Dorsey is kind of giving Hugh a chance by bringing in talent and seeing what he can do with talent. Sashi Brown, the former general manager, he seemed like he was more concerned with quantity instead of quality. He made all those trades, which made these trades actually possible. So, essentially, in a way, Browns fans can thank Sashi Brown for making the trades that passed on Carson Wentz, passed on Deshaun Watson, and set them up to make the trades that they made last week. And so now, what's going to be interesting to see is, can this be the change that the Cleveland Browns, the city of Cleveland, has been wanting since 1999? For those, think about this. We're going on 20 years since the Cleveland Browns came back into the league in 2019. Now, in 18 years, this will be 19 years this year, the Cleveland Browns have not had much success. Their last winning season was in 2007, and now it finally seems they have somebody in place that actually wants to win in Cleveland. Cleveland Browns fans are one of the most loyal fan bases in all of sports. They will stick to the Browns through thick and thin. And throughout all of this, they've still stuck with them throughout all this losing. And if they start winning, it's going to be one of those things where, they're not bandwagon fans. They were there from the beginning, and they're still going to be there when they win. So let's go ahead and look at the trades that they made. Now, they had a lot of cap space to use. And so one of the big things that they had to do was, well, they can't rely on Josh Gordon. Now, they could have waited and went into the draft for a receiver, but Miami had a cap issue. Miami was seemingly going to get something out of Jarvis Landry on the very first day of when teams could start tagging players. The Dolphins slapped a tag on right away with full intention of trading him. So in a way, John Dorsey kind of got duped by Miami by giving up picks for somebody they could have gotten in a Josh Norman kind of rescinding the franchise tag type of deal. The thing here is really the compensation here. It's amazing to me. The Browns got Jarvis Landry for a 4th rounder in this year's draft and a 7th rounder in 2019. I mean, that was it. Mike Tannenbaum did the same thing here in Miami. He gave a lot of bloated contracts, and now you kind of see where now they pretty much have to purge the roster in order to get under the cap. And right now they're like over 20, or they were over 20 million. They were 20 million over the cap before this trade. Now they just cleared the 16 million that was the franchise tag on Landry, but yet they're still over. So much there, and that's a different story, but the Browns now have got a wide receiver. So now, going into the draft this year, it's pretty much a given that they are going to draft a quarterback. And one of the things that was very interesting to me was Hugh Jackson saying that there was going to be a veteran quarterback starting the season in week 1. And for a lot of us, we think, okay, they're going to make a run at A.J. McCarron. They were very close, hugging on the field late December in the Browns-Bengals game, pregame. And we all thought, well, that's what's going to happen. They tried to trade for him, but then something happened. I think maybe Sashi said no. He denied it. I don't know. Might have been another fax issue. Who knows? But we all assumed maybe AJ McCarron. They had like $100 million in cap space, so maybe they would try and lure Kirk Cousins to the Cleveland Browns. And I've talked a little bit about Kirk Cousins in the last video, where reports of a guaranteed contract that the Minnesota Vikings would be willing to give out. It is a rumor, but I did specifically talk about the impact that guaranteed contracts would have in the NFL. So I will leave a link to that in the description below. But the question is, who is going to throw the ball to Jarvis Landry? They got Josh Gordon. Hopefully he can stay out of trouble. So they still kind of can't rely on him. So they probably still need to get another receiver in the draft. There are reports that they are actually interested in Allen Robinson. Maybe make a run to Sammy Watkins if the Rams are unsuccessful in re-signing him, as they are working towards trying to re-sign him as we stand. So who is it going to be? AJ McCarron at this point, you have to think maybe is the guy. But no, the Browns went out and they sent a 3rd round pick to the Buffalo Bills for Tyrod Taylor. And so now they got their stopgap. And Tyrod, we saw what he did last year in Buffalo. Tyrod is a good stopgap here for Cleveland. I think this is actually a great move. We saw what happened when essentially the Bills benched him, and that almost cost them a playoff spot last year. I mean, could you imagine if they would have benched him for one more game after the Chargers game, when they benched Tyrod for the Chargers game against Nathan Peterman, and they said, oh, well, we'll give Nathan Peterman another shot the next week, and they would have lost that one. That would have been disastrous. The entire drama that was Week 17 would not have been possible if not for putting Tyrod back in as a starting quarterback. So Tyrod is a game changer. He proved that last year, and now he has a chance in Cleveland. He returns to the AFC North, as he was the backup to Joe Flacco when he was drafted by the Ravens, and so now he is back in the AFC North. They're going to be facing the Ravens twice a year, as the plan looks like he will be the stopgap for whoever they draft with the 1 or the 4th pick in this year's draft. What about Deshaun Kaiser, right? Kaiser, he was drafted last year in the 2nd round, and now he is a Green Bay Packer. So, after drafting him last year, 1 year later, Kaiser now sees himself backing up Aaron Rodgers. That's actually going to be a better fit for him, actually, because I think he can learn a lot from Aaron Rodgers. It was clear Green Bay needed an upgrade over Brett Hundley. So this is a good move. Maybe this will be something where he can improve his game from learning from Aaron Rodgers, the same way Rodgers learned from Favre. But it just seems you're destined to fail if you're a quarterback in Cleveland. So it seemed like he had no chance there. They also acquired Demarius Randall in this trade. The Browns traded Kaiser to the Packers for cornerback Demarius Randall, and they were swapping 4th and 5th round picks. So that's going to be interesting to me to see what happens now the rest of free agency. When it officially launches on Wednesday. One of the big things here, do not, I know this probably get a lot of hype, but I have a feeling, depending on what else the Browns do, that they could be the overhyped team of the offseason and could be the sexy pick, so to speak, of the team that gets into the playoffs this year as a surprise, as an upset, And I think we got to kind of slow the roll on that a little bit here. I mean, they were 0-16 last year. And as I said, obviously with the changes being made and the aggressiveness by John Dorsey, he's trying to change the culture as fast as he can. He wants a winning culture there. And we'll see what happens here in terms of whether these moves play out. So now what's going to be very interesting here is whether or not the Browns can, kind of quiet this out. Because I can kind of see the media overhyping this and, making a lot of noise about the Browns being in the playoffs. And I worry whether, again, this team is young. So I worry, if the media starts this chatter of, oh, the Browns can be in the playoffs, they can do this, that, and, whether that's going to get to some of the players and be a distraction, we'll see. And then Saturday, the Browns continued by trading first-rounder Danny Shelton and a 2018 fifth-rounder to the New England Patriots for a 2019 third-round pick. So now you kind of see what he's trying to do in terms of how he wants to make the team. So now we'll have to wait and see what other moves they make. But, with free agency looming on Wednesday, we've had all these moves already made by the Browns. So now the questions here is, who will they draft to be the guy behind Tyrod Taylor? Can they get an extension worked out with Jarvis Landry to lower his cap from $16 million that he is on the tag? The other questions here, obviously, is, what else are they going to plan on doing when it comes to the draft and how they plan on filling the holes? So now So we'll have to see how that goes. But one of the big things here is this is really the first time that we have seen anybody come into Cleveland as GM that says, hey, you know what, we're going to change the culture and we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to do it, and being this aggressive and making sure it happens. No other general manager, I don't think, has ever come into Cleveland like this and said, hey, this, we're doing this, this, and this, and getting all this done even before the new league year begins. So that shows you how much he wants to change the culture in Cleveland. And Cleveland fans have got to be excited for this. So again, the Browns have never really given the general manager a chance beyond 1 or 2 years. Same thing with head coaches. So, if Dorsey gets this team together the way he, in his vision, with all these moves, then down the line, is Hugh Jackson going to be the guy that is going to see through all this as the head coach? Or is this going to be one of those where Hugh Jackson is gone after this year and Dorsey gets the head coach that he wants next year? So there's still a lot of questions here. There's still a lot of big questions, and questions that are going to be answered in the coming months. But for now, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the aggressiveness of John Dorsey? Is this it? Again, I don't want to be a part of the media that overhypes the Browns and overhypes all these moves because you don't win the Super Bowl in March. But will this finally be the first step in the revival of the Cleveland Browns? The same way that we have seen the Cavaliers bring a NBA title to Cleveland, the Indians go into the World Series. Are the Cleveland Browns next in the Cleveland sports revival? I've been your host, Money Mike, and I will see you tomorrow for my quarterback predictions, updated I should say, as I will now redo the video I had previously, the update for Tyrod being a Brown. As previously I actually had him going to Arizona, but now he's in Cleveland, so now I have to kind of change things up. Till then, have fun filling out your March Madness brackets, and I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll let you know where I think the top quarterbacks will land in free agency.